128. Let's get to Unsane. And it's the second of seven Soderbergh films I'm covering in these next few episodes. And I think, like Logan Lucky, we did review this one on the show when it came out. Could be wrong, but you can check that out way, way early on in the show. Anyways, the movie, of course, is done by Soderbergh. Stars Claire Foy, Joshua Leonard, Jay Farrow, Juno Temple, Sarah Stiles. Not really a big cast in this one. And the synopsis is a young woman is involuntarily committed to a mental institution where she is confronted by her greatest fear. But is it real or a product of her delusion? So the big thing when this one came out is that Steven Soderbergh shot it on an iPhone, which is pretty crazy. And there hadn't been many films like that. I think Tangerine had come out before this by Sean Baker, but it was still a pretty new thing and still really is. Not many other filmmakers have done it. And I really appreciate Soderbergh for always pushing the envelope, trying something new. It's not always perfect, but at least he's trying to do something different. And he's willing to do a small scale, small budget movie. And I've seen the movie maybe 3 or 4 times over the years, just rewatched it. And I still think it's very underrated. I don't think it's a masterpiece or anything like that, but it's simple, but it flows so well. The story it really just builds and builds and builds. There's nothing crazy about the script or the plot, but it's really solid in what it sets out to do. Claire Foy is fantastic. And I think the iPhone stuff, for the most part, it looks really good. I think the movie looks fantastic. The lighting, Soderbergh has pretty iconic use of lighting and how all of his light sources are kind of illuminated in that cloudy sort of style, which I like. I think his movies look very good and unique, but there aren't many sequences at all that I think the iPhone stuff doesn't work with. The only thing that I think is a little off and overdone, not really executed properly, is the sequence where she is given the extra doses of the medication or a wrong medication intentionally, and there's this sort of smorgasbord of different shots mushed together, and it's about her racing around the asylum like acting crazy, and it has this yellow haze to it, and it goes on too long. It's clearly a limitation of the iPhone, and I think that considering what they were using, I think that's something that could have been changed and minimalized, either shortened or not as overcooked, I guess you can say. So that's really the only sequence where I'm like, this doesn't work. And it's clearly shot on something low budget. But besides that, I think the look of the asylum is really good. And I think it does a good job of showing not anything crazy deep, but the corruption in the medical business, in the psychiatry business, where especially when it comes to mental institutions and putting people in there who, just because their insurance okays it, you're going to stay in there for a while. It's not, oh, well, you're fine, leave. It's, well, your insurance covers it, you might as well stay here, or, well, your insurance ran out, you're done. Doesn't matter if you're better or not. And all the shady stuff that goes on. And so I appreciate the movie trying to shed light on that. And Claire Foy's relationship with Jay Farrow is interesting with Juno Temple. I really like Juno Temple a lot. So there's a lot of good elements. I think it's really worth a watch. It's never going to be some groundbreaking movie, but for the budget, for the scale of the movie, it's pretty impressive, and I can always go back to it. And there's just something about it that's interesting and engaging. And there's that very frequent use of iPhone close-ups, which is pretty uncommon. You don't really see close-ups done on actors in that way, where it's like really shoved in people's faces. I think that, to me, that works. Some people may not like that. I like that. Then the relationship with her and her stalker, I think that's effective, and also getting into the ideas of someone being a victim of stalking and being paranoid and that affecting your life, and then possibly being around that stalker again and people not really caring. I think all that's interesting. And then also the scene with Matt Damon talking to her in that flashback where he's like, all right, you need to change your locks, you need to figure out a new way to get to work, you need to maybe get a gun, like all the stuff that is so ridiculous that is now putting more stress and pressure on the victim, not the actual stalker himself. So that's very interesting and compelling. The blue and yellow iconic Soderbergh haze to the movie, hue to the movie is good. The sequence in the basement towards the end is very strong, and where she gets trapped in the solitary confinement. So there's a lot of stuff that I really hits me hard, and I think it always keeps me engaged. It's not too long, and I think I'll always be up for Soderbergh iPhone shot films. He just seems to have a knack for it, and I don't think everybody should. I don't think all movies should be shot in this way, but we'll also get to High Flying Bird soon, which was also shot on an iPhone. So, yeah, that is a heavy 4 out of 5.